Hello, Sourcefed Movie Club. We are in my basement. No, seriously, we're in my basement. Why are we in my basement, you might ask? Two reasons. One, I have people staying at my house. I don't want them to find out I'm a freaking weirdo. And two, this is where I keep all of these. Take a look. Notice something missing from all of these old VHSs? Oh, let me get you straight. Yes, that's right. I do not possess a copy of Mulan on VHS. Why? Actually, that's not true. I do. I just do not know where it is. You said, we're going to watch Mulan. I said, I have that on VHS. I'm going to show the kid. I thought it was going to be such a good prop to be like, hey kids, this is what we used to watch in the 90s. VHSs, and you had to rewind them. All that other jazz. Because you know, CDs before DVDs came out, if you blew on them the wrong way, they would break. But unfortunately, I cannot find it, like all the rest of the stuff I need down here. I don't know what happens. I put it away and then it disappears. I mean, look. I've got a copy of Harry Potter on VHS. This came out after DVDs came out, and I have this on VHS. Nobody has this on VHS. But for some reason, I don't have Mulan, which I watched like 2 billion times before the year 2000 came about, so I don't know what happened to it. But in my search, my futile search, look who I found. I found the cricket. He chirps too. I can't make him chirp because I only have one hand. I can't hold him and turn the key at the same time. But he's gonna sit right. Come on, buddy. You're gonna sit right here for the entire movie club exposition. And we're gonna go have some fun. So, Mulan. Is he falling over? Hang on. No, he's good. He's good. He's happy up there. So, Mulan. This is such a good movie. You know what? I came into this thinking, you know what? This was a great kids movie. I loved it as a kid. But I'm not going to love it as an adult. I'm going to watch it, and it's just going to destroy another childhood memory. Like so many other things on the internet. But it didn't. It held up, and I was so happy. I'm like, this is such a good movie. First of all, the scenes in this movie are pretty epic, all things considered. I mean, just the scale that they show you. I mean, first of all, you've got just the scale of destruction that you have for that village. You've got the scale of the entire imperial city that you see. The phone's ringing. I'm not going to answer that. You've got the scale of the palace, but probably the best scene is when you've got the Hunnic army coming down the mountain, and you've got Chin Fu at their very front, and he's just riding ahead of them, and they're just all coming at you. I'm like, oh my god, it's 1,000 years ago, and they're charging again. And there was just this primal, instinctual fear in me that's like, oh my god, they're coming! Literally, I thought Huns were going to come charging out of my computer screen at me, and that would not have been. Luckily, they didn't. and I got to live this time. And but yeah, just the scene. I heard that this is one of the first movies to incorporate CGI, and you can tell because the quality is so good, and you can tell that the storyboard artists, the ones who created all of these grand scale, they took a lot of time and effort and pride in their work, and it pays off because even today with all of things like with movies like Avatar and Pacific Rim and movies that just show everything on such a big scale, to be able to have a 2D cartoon show that a 2D animation still be able to show that much scale and emphasis, it's great. It just tells to their talents. Okay, but that's not my favorite scene in this movie. My favorite scene in this movie is after they've sung "Girl Worth Fighting For," and you see that they've built themselves up all of this time, and then they reach the town, and you see all this devastation, I think it perfectly illustrates the ideals of war versus the reality of war and the disjointness that they have. Now, don't get me wrong. In real war, the two of them do come together, and they do, and this is where heroes are born. But when you take the ideal of war and you take the actual destruction of war and you put them next to each other, the juxtaposition is just so disjoint. And again, you get that epic scale with all the destruction. You just get that flash of the bodies before they bring them the general's helmet. And this movie is very good at silent exposition. It uses its scenery it lets it talk for the characters. It's not exposition heavy like a movie like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Star Wars, where you just hear them talking, you're reading and reading, and you just lose interest, or you're trying to assimilate everything. Whereas the silent exposition in this movie allows you to view and to feel and to connect with the character. I mean, just that scene with the little doll beside the sword is so powerful, and you just see that there's so many powerful silent scenes in this movie. But for a movie that's this good, you would have to expect that. The songs of this movie, starting with Girl Worth Fighting For, that was a great lead up and a great use of that song. But the songs, they're very upbringing and they're very uplifting, except for one, and that is My Reflection. And as a kid, I never liked that song. I would fast forward through the DVD. Or, DVD. I'd fast forward through the VHS just so that I could skip that song. But listening to it now as an adult, it sums up, and I think this is true for a lot of people, it sums up a lot of what you feel trying to grow up, where you don't feel like you belong, and your efforts to belong that ultimately fail. And you until you basically learn to accept yourself as a good person, and then other people come around you. But I feel that it's sung by Celine Dion. I don't like Celine Dion, and the reason I don't is because of Reflections. But it's as I listen to it now, it's changed my perspective. As a kid, this is what to expect. As an adult, this is what actually happened to us, and that's a thing. You should have seen the look on my face. I know, right? Characters. Oh man, the characters. They actually tried to get a lot of tried to get Chinese actors, but no Chinese actor would do it. And this is one of Disney's many attempts to not be racist. I mean, you start with Pocahontas, but you can't really do a movie about Indians and explorers without being slightly racist. But this is really their first attempt, and you can see that they're being very careful by trying to make the Chinese look as honorable as possible. And they chose an actual historical villain to play, and they made him look as badass as possible without looking like a generic Disney villain. He's not dark skinned. Well, he is slightly dark skinned, but he's not old or wrinkled or magical or any of those other things that the villain he's not over the top. He's believable. And actually, they made the old people funny in this movie because you've got the ancestors and you've got the grandmother, and they're such great. Because let's face it, we've all had that family reunion where everybody just argues with each other, and you've always had that crazy older relative who would literally cross the road blindfolded and live. And it's, as a kid, you're like, oh my god, I hope they don't get hurt. As an adult, you're like, oh my god, this is hysterical. Come on, quick, get the camera. We gotta film this. No, but the characters make this movie very good. For example, you've got George Takei. I don't remember who he plays, but I suppose he's good. You've got James Hong, who he always plays a side character, but he plays his character so well that he just becomes so lovable. I mean, I loved him in Balls of Fury, where he's playing the blind master who's teaching everybody. So people moving around. And then you've got Mr. Miyagi playing the Emperor, and you couldn't have cast a better person because he delivers his lines with such a reserved forcefulness that you can feel the power that he has, but also the responsibility that he wears, that he holds, and that he's using one to brace up the other, and the acting just makes his lines so forceful that you absolutely have to have respect that you feel like there's an actual emperor talking to you. When he says a single grain of rice can tip the scale, one soldier can sway the tide of battle. I mean, the way he delivers that line is just so perfect. I wish we had more of him in this movie, but unfortunately we probably get 5 to 10 minutes of screen time. And that's a nitpicky thing. But overall, the comedy in this movie, you have Eddie Murphy as his highest, you have all these other characters playing side notes funny. You've got a Disney princess breaking the mold where with your other Disney princesses like Thumbelina or oh no, Cricket. It's okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I'll just put you right back up here. You okay, buddy? Yeah, he's fine. Or the princess from Atlantis, or with Peter Pan, or the Little Mermaid, or Cinderella, or any of these other movies. You always have the princess basically waiting for her prince to come and rescue her. But actually, I saw it in a great Facebook picture. It's you shouldn't wait for your prince to come and rescue you. Fight for him, which is basically what this movie said. I mean, you have the strong female character. That's basically she's better than the men. One of the funny scenes that you probably only notice as an adult after living your life, the look of relief on all the men's faces when they realize that Ping is actually a girl. It's like I have such feelings for this man. Oh, it's a woman. Oh, thank God. Oh, that is pretty. You gotta admit, that's pretty funny. But overall, love this movie. As a matter of fact, you know what? This movie was so good. I remember that they came out with a sequel, Mulan 2. And now I'm curious to see, does it stand up to the original Mulan, or is it just a cheap ripoff? It's probably a cheap ripoff, but you know what? I'm probably going to watch it, hoping for the best. This is going to go Legend of Korra on me, I know it will. But I'm going to do it anyways. I guess that could be another movie club. But yeah, I think that's it. Oh, recommendations for the next Sourcefed Movie Club movie. I don't think we've done this one, and I think we really need to because I've seen it come up in a lot of table talk conversations and a lot of other movie conversations. And I think it's time. We have to watch Mel Brooks' great Western parody, Blazing Saddles. It's time. We have to see this movie. For people from the 90s like us, we are some of the last people who can understand the humor. I mean, younger kids, they're not going to get it. I mean, who else but us knows what the wild world of sports is? What half the references in here are. Actually, I had to watch. I'll save a story for another time. Or if that doesn't tickle your fancy, but you still want comedy, I would suggest It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, where they basically took every comedian in Hollywood in the 60s and they just chucked them into this movie. I mean, you've got everybody from Spencer Tracy and Jonathan Winters as main characters to the most famous comedy acts like Buster Keaton and the Three Stooges just making cameos, and it works so well. We have to watch this movie. Anyways, this has been my Sourcefed review, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.